Two Guys Reselling. This is Chris and I'm Jeff, and we are continuing our Tuesday afternoon live streams into our Facebook groups and YouTube channels. Although I did find out, Chris, I cannot put the live onto my current new YouTube channel, JBNet Treasures, because it has to be on for 90 days. And I'm not to my 90 days yet, and then I should be able to stream it. So I couldn't start. I went over to try to do the pre-live stuff, and it wouldn't let me do that. So that's that.
Do you have your channels hooked up? Because I don't see them.
I probably didn't turn it on yet. There we go. Oops, add your channels. There's the group.
There you are.
Yeah. Then I'm not going to mess with the YouTube because I know it's not going to work.
There you go. All right.
No
now you're streaming live.
Now we're streaming live. So give everybody a couple of minutes if anybody stops in. Hopefully we can get some interaction going here with some viewers. This is our fourth week, technically, I think. We missed a week. But this might be our third or fourth one.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we're just waiting for that to catch on a little bit. I'm going to try to get over here to YouTube. Or not YouTube, to the Resell Treasure Hunters group, so I can see that everything's okay there. Facebook is being fussy, or the computer is being fussy. If anybody coming in, I always like to tell everybody my internet is slow and sluggish. So if I freeze up, that's why. Because like right now, it's taking forever to get going. There we go. There it is. All right. All right. So big news for the day that I wanted to. I don't know if you caught any of the information on it yet, Chris. Neither one of us are really affected by it, but apparently Nike is shutting the door on Nike resellers. And have you caught up on any of that news? Have you heard about it yet?
Yeah, I've been hearing whispers about it. Most of the people I know sell Nike.
Yeah, when it comes right down to it, the short story of the long story is that it's mostly affecting those sellers that are buying new from the like outlet stores or clearance centers, or even from other Nike stores that have stuff on clearance or whatever. It's mostly just the new stuff that is being bought. And even if it's not on clearance, they're still going in and buying a $200 pair of Nikes that just came out, and then turning around selling them for $400 or $500 to flip. And so that's what I'm reading into the situation. And it's funny, it caught my attention. In fact, Casey, Rockstar Flipper, I think there's a bunch of them they're out in Las Vegas, I think, out by you, doing some kind of a resellers convention of some sort. And so he was able to talk to some other sellers about it as the new news. I think, like I said, it's been kind of coming. I think Nike's been making some changes and preparing to do this for a while. Oh, excuse me. But he talked to Harry Tornado and a couple other guys that actually sell newer stuff. And it's again, short story long is that it's the guys that sell pickup. Oh, I know what it was. It caught my attention because I had just looked last week. We all get advertising in our feeds, and this was an advertiser on reselling shoes. And I thought, okay, I'm into selling shoes. So I started looking at it and quickly figured out that he was going in buying clearance items and new stuff from the stores and the outlet malls and so forth. He was selling everything on Amazon. And I don't know, that's probably the bigger market for the new stuff anyway. but he has a complete training and course all set up. And then I heard Casey talking about that earlier today or yesterday, and it's like, whoa, that's that seller right there that was advertising. He might be uh, heavily affected by that. So, what do you see on your end as far as that goes for that stuff, Chris?
Well, basically, whenever a designer or a product manufacturer finds out that their new products are being sold on a channel that does not benefit them, get hold of that channel right away with all of their lawyers and start putting the pressure on them. So the problem with all that is, okay, so Nike is going after resellers, whether you're on Amazon or eBay or wherever, they're going after you. And they're doing it by altering the platform's algorithms. So now if you put something up and you have the word Nike in your title, and it doesn't even have to pertain to the shoes. You could be talking about Greek mythology. Wait, Nike is Greek or Roman? It doesn't matter. You could be talking about mythology and get flagged. You'll get flagged because Nike is no longer supposed to be sold on that platform. So even though you're selling your old beat up Nikes, trying to get enough money for a video game, you're going to get flagged as if you're one of these people who are buying large quantities of Nikes and then selling them through these channels. They lump us all in together.
Nike sculpture from bronze vessel, probably made in Greek city of southern Italy. So there you go. Italian.
There is no Greek city in southern Italy.
Southern Italy.
That would
That
be an Italian city.
No, probably made in a Greek city. That's what it says, Greek city of southern Italy.
I know. When I read people's listings, I'm like, did this person get out of grade 4? Because some of the way they put their words together, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't look like they're proofreading their stuff.
Yeah. When you're reading online, you got to slow down and take a extra look at it most of the time. Anyway, if their Grammarly didn't put the apostrophe in the right place or whatever. But so do you think it's going to affect the used Nike sellers at some point? Also, just because of the tag, because of the keyword of Nike. So on eBay,
absolutely.
A used shoe, Nike. Of course, we know eBay is cracking down on a lot of the Nike stuff anyway because they have it set up so for I can't say that word. Authentication. Yeah, whatever. So I think it was kind of set at a dollar value there for a while. If you were selling something over, a Nike shoe for over $100 or whatever, they had to have it looked at by an expert to make sure it was an authentic Nike. And but now I think they're even doing lower dollar value stuff because they've got a deal set up with FedEx. I have not had this for mine yet. I do have some Nike shoes, and I just picked up a couple more today at the thrift. And but I haven't had a pair of Nike shoes sell yet. And I haven't seen anything wild or crazy like I think they've got a deal with Federal Express now. So they may tell you have to ship it Federal Express to wherever they're going to have it looked at, and then they'll push it on out from there to your customer, kind of like doing global shipping program, basically. But I haven't had to do one yet, so I don't know. And that was my curiosity question with this whole Nike deal on the new shoes. If they're going to target, or if you're going to kind of fall into the net. They're out there casting a big net to catch these new shoe sales resellers, and we're going to get stuck on the used side also with some maybe getting taken down or Veros or stuff like that.
They will. I've been through this with eBay before, not with sneakers, but with movies, DVDs, and Blu-rays. Okay. So this is what happens. You put up a listing, and for whatever reason, whether it's a brand name in the title, whether it's the category that you're in, or how much you're charging, combination of all three. There are algorithms out there scrubbing through all of the listings. And when I say all of the listings, I mean all of the listings. These bots, they're programmed, they run 24/7. And if it's not getting it done fast enough, they just create more bots to get it done. So don't sit there and think, oh, there's millions upon millions of listings. There's no way they can check them all. Yes, they can. They can check every single one of them, because if they couldn't, that would set them up for some extreme litigation, and there wouldn't be an eBay anymore. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
So it's going to come down to, it's going to get so bad that if you put up a Nike golf shirt with moisture wicking technology and you're trying to sell it for $15, let's say, you're probably going to get flagged. And they don't flag you and give you a chance to defend yourself.
Right.
They flag you and tell you your listing has been taken down. And if you do it again, they give you a 3-day suspension.
Right.
And if you get caught again, you get a 7-day suspension. I went all the way up. Exactly. I went all the way up to the 7-day suspension when it dawned on me. I have no idea what movies are allowed and what movies are not allowed. And they didn't even want to see my paperwork. I had invoices where I was allowed to purchase and resell these movies, invoiced. So I had paperwork proof. They were not interested at all. So I took all the movies down. I will not sell a DVD or Blu-ray on eBay ever. However, Poshmark and Macari, oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, they do really good.
Cool.
So that's my take on it. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, I mean, like I said, I was thinking that like the used shoe sellers really didn't have too much to worry about. But you mentioned the Nike golf shirts. I'm also thinking, because I do sell a lot of golf clubs, at least when I can get my hands on them. And Nike golf clubs are there's a lot of them. They're abundant out there. And there's a lot of them listed and stuff like that. So, now I'm going to have to be careful with the Nike golf thing, and maybe not put, the word Nike. It may be swoosh golf or something, as a keyword, even though Nike's your main keyword that you want to use. But like I said, I do have some Nike shoes, and I just got some Nike shoes today from the thrift store. So I'm hoping the trickle down on that will take a while before and most of mine, they're $20 and $30 ones. They're not the high end Nikes, but still, eBay was putting into place, things to make sure things are authentic when you do sell that particular brand of shoes. And I'm sure they're looking at the other popular brands of, whether it's shoes, clothes, whatever, on occasion as well. If they start getting too many issues, too many customer complaints about fake stuff, then they're going to crack down on some more. But this is Nike coming out directly after the resellers, and mostly for right now anyway, it's the new shoe sellers that go out and buy stuff in bulk. I suppose it's like anything else. A lot of people talk about, well, how come you're talking about your movies, how come my listing got taken down? There's 20 others that are still active and they're selling. And the one answer I've heard to that is those people that are selling those and are still on there and able to list them may have permission from the company's name brand to go ahead and sell. You can get a hold of these companies and send in whatever paperwork they want you to send in, and ask for permission to sell that brand, and then you're okay. But you see it almost every day in the Facebook group. Somebody asking about, why did my item get taken down, and there's 20 others that are still for sale. Well, that's probably the biggest reason why. And like Chris said, maybe the bots haven't found it yet, but they will. you might get away with it for a while, but it's eventually. I ran into the same thing with test strips. That's why I don't sell test strips anymore. The Vero issue started to become an issue, and those were I couldn't list them fast enough. You know, those go out the door. Those would go out the door as soon as you list them. So it's part of what we got to just be careful of selling on another platform.
Yeah, that's true. Like I have about 40 bottles of Bear aspirin that I'm reselling. And on Poshmark and Macari, that item was flagged and immediately taken down, and I was given an email because they don't allow anything to sell on that platform that you would take in orally.
Wow.
So okay. I could understand that. You know, I get that. However, on eBay, they sell really well.
Yeah. You know, I always get perplexed by some of the I don't know, is it, well, makeup, but perfume, liquids and stuff like that, you know, cleaning supplies and stuff that you think, really? I mean, but yeah, as long as there's whatever's in place that makes it legal to do, they can do it. So,
well, it's totally up to the platform and the rules that the platform adapts, you know, because I remember Macari was kind of like the Wild Wild West when it first came out. And then they had to add things, add rules to like, you know, rein in all the craziness, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, oh, did you hear about the Walt Disney VHS Black Diamond tapes?
Oh, sure. Yeah. that goes around at least 2 or 3 times a year usually.
That is too funny, man. Yeah. Have you ever known anyone who paid like $60 for one of those tapes?
No. I remember hearing about it. I remember somebody saying about, hey, look for those or whatever, and I've seen them out. You know, just about every Disney tape out there is a Black Diamond tape. I've got some sitting up in a box in our storeroom. Yeah. So yeah, people don't get excited about that. Anybody that watches this, the chance of selling one of those at a high price is about like selling the Beanie Babies, so if not worse.
But that being said, no, I'm not even going to say that. Even going to say that. What I'm going to say about Beanie Babies and fast food children's toys, like the Happy Meal. I don't want to say Happy Meal, but if you don't, no one knows what the heck you're talking about.
Right.
But those toys, the Beanie Babies and some other things, don't go out of your way to buy and collect them because they're not going to increase in value. There's just too many of them. But if you buy a storage unit or you make a bulk purchase and you have a bunch of that stuff in there, don't freak out. Sell it.
Yeah. It can be sold.
Oh, they can. I've had people pay me as much as $10 for a McDonald's Happy Meal toy. Now, because it came in a big bulk purchase, I was more than happy with that. However, if I went out of my way and I tried to buy things in particular, a lot of times you have to group them together in like groups of 4 and still only get like $10 for them. You see what I'm saying? There's not if you pay for them, there's not a lot of profit potential. But if they're at the bottom of a bulk sale and you add up all your items and you know you only paid maybe $1 for them or less, you'll be able to sell them and still make a profit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lonnie on Shed Flips, he sells a lot of smalls like that. Sometimes it's the McDonald's Happy Meal. He's a little smarter of a buyer than most, but just from experience of him doing it, I know he recently picked up a bulk order off of somebody that he buys from regularly, but it wasn't the Happy Meal toys. It was, you know, like Pokemon figures, not cards, but the figures, and different of those different genres type character stuff. That's where he makes his money off of a, you know, it cost him a nickel maybe, and he's, you know, $10-15 for each individual piece off of those. So that's pretty cool. I was going to circle back real quick. talking about the all the Nike stuff and everything we started talking about here as we got going, but a lot of people fuss about eBay or the other platforms doing this to them. Oh, they've got these Vero things, or oh, they've got these silly policies about this or that. I look at it, it just kind of clicked in my head as we were talking earlier that we should be happy that they are catching this stuff and making these rules and keeping this stuff uh, as best they can under control. If you were to go out on your very own website and start selling this stuff and somebody finds out about it, you could be facing a lawsuit. You know, they just come after you because you're the seller. On eBay, at least we have they're kind of a protection of, okay, well, I can't sell that anymore, so I'll move on to a different piece. And yeah, it sucks, but you didn't have to deal with all the legalities of it either. They did. They took care of it. Or yeah, however it goes. So just another on the flip side thought of everything we were talking about there.
No, that's exactly right, Jeff, because I do have a website store with products in it. However, I never sell anything in the web store that I cannot sell on eBay or the other platforms for that exact reason. You know, I could throw Nike up there and be like Rock. He became really successful selling Adidas. He became so successful at selling them that Adidas took him to court. Yeah. Now, this may appear like I'm gossiping or saying bad things about him, but I'm not. What's his real name?
Casey?
Rockstar Casey. Thank you, Casey. He doesn't look like a Casey. I could never remember that name. But yeah. Anyway, he's done several videos where he talks about his experience about getting sued by Adidas. And that's kind of a scary thing. I mean, you could be really successful in making a couple $100,000 a year reselling this stuff. However, when a big worldwide conglomerate fingers you for a lawsuit, I can't imagine anything more scary happening to your business, you know? Like, not only are they going to put you out of business, they're going to take your house, they're going to take your car. I mean,
well, people have ended up in jail for doing something they, not knowing the law doesn't make it any better. It's like, oh, I didn't know I couldn't do that. Well, sorry, but you can't. You're going to jail.
Yep, exactly. Seller beware. There are extreme consequences for your actions, and don't think you're so small that you're going to slip through the cracks, because print on demand, that's another industry that's under attack. People are like, for instance, Got Milk. Someone would be like, oh, that was so funny in the 80s. I'm going to put that on a shirt and sell it. If you do, you're going to get sued. And a lot of people have been sued for copyright infringement for slapping something on a shirt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. I can see it happening. I kind of the one item I've got that's print on demand is a golf hat. And it says golf, this is the way. Well, this is the way comes from the Mandalorian on Star Wars. It's having the word golf up there, maybe that takes away the legalities, but yeah, I just thought about that. I probably shouldn't have that on there. Probably need to change that.
It depends. Did you make it?
Did I make it? Well, I put the design together. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you get sued. Disney might come after you, man.
Yeah. They could.
Yeah, I heard don't ever cross the mouse. He will come after you.
I can only imagine.
No, seriously, there's a lot of Etsy sellers that make their own Disney arts and crafts. Disney is going after them. They don't like it. They don't want these people making money with their trademark stuff. Well, and they're even looking. You don't even have to use the word Mickey Mouse. If you have 3 circles and they even closely resemble the Mickey
Like a
Mouse
mouse.
emblem,
Uh-huh.
they're coming for you.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So be careful, because it's not worth making a few dollars and then being sued or imprisoned for everything you've got. It's not worth it.
Right. So
All right.
sellers beware, but not trying to scare anybody off with reselling for sure with this conversation. But it is something you got to keep in mind. But there's tons and tons of stuff out there that you can sell legally, resell it legally, and you're fine. And even retail arbitrage. There's plenty of stuff out there. We talking about the clearance stores, or the Ross is a store that comes up a lot because they do have discounted items, a lot of times name brand discounted items. But yeah, you can resell a lot of stuff out of clearance on a retail arbitrage situation. So don't let that
Mhm.
scare you off. Just be aware and be thinking about it as you do things. So
All
good
right.
deal.
Hey, Jeff, let me ask you a question.
What's that?
Why is it a good idea to end your sold listings?
Why? No, I got to ask you that because you got the technical answer.
Oh, okay then. All right. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Why is it a good? This is something that came up, and I seen it come up again in one of the seller groups. Again, somebody was asking about it themselves the other day, and it's one of those questions that I knew about it, but I didn't know about it, and I just wasn't sure myself. And yeah, so as I understand it, it helps with the algorithm in eBay or your SEO in general, because if you've got items on there that are showing active and there's no quantity there, no traffic to it, or no activity going on with that item, that's going to lower that item in your search or in your algorithms, and therefore making it maybe more difficult for your store to be found, or other items similar that you could be selling. That sound about right?
Yep. That's pretty much it. Um, to get just a little bit more specific, years ago, the thing that made Google such an amazing search engine is because they have an automated relevancy score. They have bots that keep track of your relevancy. Yahoo did the same thing, but instead of using bots, they used real people. And the problem with real people is they're a lot slower than the bots. So unfortunately, Yahoo at one time was the number one search engine with the most relevant results in your search. Very quickly fell behind Google, who replaced them with the most relevant search results. Now, companies like YouTube, before they were purchased by Google, eBay, Poshmark, Macari, most companies that keep very large databases keep a relevancy score as well. And it's very important when you're trying to sell something, because when your relevancy score falls below a certain level, what ends up happening is eBay stops showing your listings in a search result. Now, that's very important. eBay can do this anytime they want. They don't ever have to give warning, but your listings within 90 days, because they wait for no activity for 60 days. Then they give you a warning. And after the next 30 days, if you don't do anything with that warning, your listings will be dropped out of the search results, because they want to give the most relevant results to someone's search. That's the reason why. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
they've targeted you. It's not that they're not doing their job. Actually, it's more that you're not doing your job. You're not using relevant keywords in your title. You're not using relevant keywords in your description. You don't have photos with a clear background. Now, I say clear background because they want it to be like the pure white background, but I've noticed that bots aren't very good at telling color. So as long as your background doesn't have anything As long as it doesn't have anything there, it's just clear. So you're selling this pen, and it's just a pen with a gray background. That'll be fine. It'll still show up. But that's the most important thing. And that's why you want to get rid of all of your sold listings. And if you do get a warning on any listing saying that there's been no activity on it, change the listing, change the title, change the description, take new photos and put new photos up there. Do whatever you've got to do to make that listing more relevant. Because if your relevancy score, like I said before, falls below a certain percentage, they're going to at first bury you at the very bottom, regardless of advertising, or not show them at all. And this is a real thing. This is real.
Yeah.
This really happens.
For anybody that doesn't know, Chris has a background in computers. He knows this stuff. He knows, he's been trained in it professionally. So you're not just hearing it from somebody off the street at this point. There has been a lot of different opinions out there, different sellers, big sellers, that talk about whether or not you should end your listing after it's been sold. Now, my question is why doesn't it end automatically after it's been sold? Well, if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing that eBay says we're not going to end in case you have other you want to sell similar, or you have a quantity. Maybe you tested out this item one time with one quantity, but you've got 20 waiting in the background. If that sells, you're going to say, okay, that sells. I'm going to put the other 20 back. Show my quantity as having 20 new now. So, so yeah. If you're selling an item that you do have multiple quantities, and it's like, oh, I just ran out for a couple of days. No, you don't want to necessarily take your listing down for that and have to redo the whole thing. But if you're just selling one-offs, which most eBay sellers do, your one-off situations, you want to get those out of there, kind of clearing the clutter off of it. Chris, would that sound right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And for sellers that are, maybe it's not the answer by any means. It's part of the answer. There's so many things that come together to make the wheels turn with eBay and your consistency of selling. But you hear a lot of sellers who are kind of part-time or hobby sellers fussing about, well, I've been listing, but I'm not getting any sales. Well, how much have you been listing? Oh, one every couple days, 2, 4 or 5 every few days, whatever. And their sales are up and down and up and down. Well, as you put new listings on there, those new listings are going to get looked at. So if it's something that somebody wants, your sales may bump up a little bit. But if you've got a whole account full of listings that are not relevant, like Chris said, not sold, but they've just been sitting, they didn't sell, and it's been 6 months or more on those listings, we got to refresh those. We got to do something with them to get the system looking at them again and sharing them again. So, I've been fixing my store. I've still got a long way to go with fixing the photos, even titles, sometimes categories, descriptions need to be corrected. My pricing, my shipping, maybe I've got the wrong shipping thing on there, whatever. But all things mesh together to make a consistent selling store. But if you've got a bunch of clutter on there that hasn't sold, and it's more than 3 months, 6 months, or more old, revise them. Now, a lot of people have been doing this also, Chris, and I don't think necessarily this is a good idea because of Google and other search engines building up the data in the background. There's a lot of people that will, in their listing, it'll say that, because it'll show you on eBay, it'll show you when you got 10 listings that are going to end today as it restarts the 30-day cycle. People are ending those 10 listings, putting them into a draft, whatever, coming back in and relisting those again. So it's starting as a brand new listing. Maybe they're doing some edits, but most of the time they're just doing it to change that listing number. So eBay picks it up as a new listing and gives it some new life. The problem with that, though, that I've been told, is that you're losing all that data that the search engines have on that listing. So don't necessarily end it and relist it, but just go in and change something, fix the listing, change the photos, like Chris said, change the title, change a little bit, anything to get the algorithm moving again on that listing. If it's been sitting for 6 months or something, it may be an item that's not, people aren't looking for, or it's the wrong season, all kinds of different reasons, but it may just be that item. Maybe it is time to get it off there and put something else in its place. So yeah, I'm just seeing, my sales have been fairly consistent, just not a lot consistent every day. So that's why I'm fixing my store to increase. Once I get all the items that are on there fixed or better anyway, so that there's new life going through them, I'm also increasing how many I'm listing per day. And as you bump that up and they're good listings, then you're going to see more consistent sales, in theory.
Mm-hmm. They're basically, when it comes to sales, when you're looking at your listings, there are 4 things you want to keep in mind: photos, title, description, price. You always want to keep those 4 things in mind. The photos, are they clear? Do they represent the product? Are they at all blurry? Are they dimly lit? The blurry, dimly lit, fuzzy, all of these things are very unattractive to a product photo. And please don't ever use a background. Just plain colored backgrounds. Like, I had some things that were white or clear, and they didn't show up very well on a white background. So I used a red background instead, and it worked fine, and the item sold. But you never ever want to use like a forestry background and put a stuffed animal in there. You think it's creative and creativity sells, but you're messing with the algorithms and drop your relevancy. So you don't ever want to do that either. If you have something that doesn't sell, look at your photos, your title, your description, and please look at your price. Look at your price. And if you pay too much money for something, suck it up and take the loss. Way better than having it up there praying that someone's going to pay like $5 too much so you can make a $3 profit. Mm-hmm. That's going to kill your business before it even starts.
Yeah, you might as well just sell it. See if you can sell it for what you paid for. Get your money back out of it as much as you can after the fees, and go buy a better product.
Exactly.
Go buy a better product.
What was I going to say? Never buy a product you haven't researched.
Yep. Which is something else we'll get into on one of the other calls, as far as what to do when you're outsourcing, and how to look stuff up real quick. Gosh darn it, there was something I wanted to circle back to, and I don't remember what it was. The photos. Oh yeah, the photos. Now I don't know. You do sell a little bit on Poshmark. I have not crossed over to that yet. I was listening to a video yesterday, I think, and somebody she was Poshmark first before she came to eBay, and she was saying that on Poshmark, your pictures, they kind of what's the word I want to use? Tell you that it's better, or it's a good idea to stage your items. So on the Poshmark pictures, a lot of these bigger Poshmark sellers, you may find that they do have a background. They may have an accessory sitting beside, like you said, a plushy animal just to be cute or whatever. Where over on the eBay side, it's nope, get rid of all that. They want the white, of course, but the solid color that works for that item. Yeah, you get a white t-shirt, and try to put it on a white background, it doesn't look real great. But I am switching. I'm using. It's not a great app to use, but I'm using eBay's background remover on most all of my items. I'm trying to get because I want my list as much as possible. There's always going to be that one, like Chris said, that's a light color and you need a little bit darker background behind it or something like that. But for the most part, all of my, and I went and looked at your site. I hadn't looked at your site your eBay store for a while, Chris. And I looked at it the other night, and the majority of all yours have a white or solid background on all of it. So he ain't lying, folks. I went and checked.
Yeah, well, even on Poshmark, where they say stage your items, what they're talking about, don't get confused. They still want you to have a plain background. But rather than having a ring sit on a table, they would rather you use a mannequin hand and then put the ring on the mannequin hand, or even on your hand. Some people I've noticed on Poshmark, they model their own stuff. Okay. You know, they'll put on the clothing that they're trying to sell or the jewelry on themselves, and then have someone else take the photo, or have a remote to take the photos. But yeah, so they want you to use like mannequins, and they want you to use, like, if you're selling something and that something could have accessories with it, they'd rather you sell it as a complete outfit rather than 4 different listings. But please don't use background mark, because the problem with that is Google Shopping. Okay. If you don't use the solid backgrounds, if you don't use UPC numbers when you can, then you're not going to sell as much as those of us that do, because you won't have the power of Google Shopping behind you. And that is so important. So important that eBay focuses on that.
Absolutely. That's something we've mentioned it before, is the eBay algorithm is what it is. It's a huge search engine, tons and tons of traffic to eBay, people on eBay looking for eBay stuff. But there's a bigger number of people out there in the world of Google and other browsers that are shopping also. And your item can come up first page Google if it's done correctly on eBay, because eBay helps boost everything up into those searches. So don't take that lightly at all. Good stuff. Something else that was in my brain and away. If anybody happens to be watching us on either Chris's channel or on Facebook, on my Facebook group, say hi. Don't be shy. It's great if you want to sit back and listen to us ramble on, but let us know you're here. And if you've got any questions, throw them out there. If we don't know the answer, we'll table it until next time and find the answer for you. So
yeah, that's true.
Deals. Well, we're getting close to an hour, but we're okay. Go ahead.
Oh, we need to cover one more thing on the agenda: sell-through rate.
Sell-through. This kind of ties into everything we were just talking about. If you're a newer seller or somebody that's been around a little while but not sure, I was around for quite a while before I knew anything about what this is. Sell-through rate. What is sell-through rate? Actually, we can take that and apply it to what you're doing. You're outsourcing also, but we'll wait and throw that together at another time. Your sell-through rate, folks, is basically how many items do you have listed, and over a amount of time, whether you want to do it in a week's time, a month's time. It's eBay does it at 90 days usually, kind of give you an idea of what you sold. But you can do it on 30 days in a week also on Terapeak. If you go to under eBay to performance to your Terapeak, you can find it there. You're going to find your number of items sold. You're going to find the dollar amounts that they sold for, but then you've got to do a little bit of math against what you actually have in your inventory to say, if I had 10 items and I sold one is in a day or a week or whatever, is that a good rate? So Chris, I'll let you give a little bit more technical on that.
Okay. So basically, to understand your sell-through rate is to understand how you're doing as a seller. So as Jeff mentioned before, if you have 100 items and you sold one, your sell-through rate is 10%. Now, it just depends on how you're tracking. Some people are kind of hobbyists, so they use their 30-day numbers. Other people are a little bit more active, so they have everyday numbers. They have today's sell-through rate, this week's sell-through rate, last month's sell-through rate. And all the sell-through rate really is taking the amount of items that you've sold and dividing it by how many items you have left to sell. So let's to give you an example. Let's use 1,000. So 1,000 listings. Let's say you have 1,000 listings up. Okay. And for the month, out of those 1,000 listings, you sold, let's say, 650. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to take 650 and divide it by 1,000. And that will give you the numbers 0.65. But because we're dealing with percentages, we want to move that decimal place 2 spaces to the right. And that 0.65 gives us a percentage of 65%. So for the last month, our sell-through rate was 65%. In my professional opinion, anything above 55%, you're doing pretty good. And you should be very happy with yourself.
Yeah, the average retail business out there in general, if they're above 50%, they're doing really well because they have so much inventory. They have a huge inventory.
Exactly. But that's just the simplicity of factoring your sell-through rate. It's not this big, horrible, what's that word? A formula that you have to memorize. It's just dividing the amount of items you've sold by how many items you have left to sell. And if your items are selling really, really slow, chances are your price might be a little bit too high. People come to eBay for a deal. They don't want to pay top retail. They want a deal. So keep that in mind.
This also falls under the talking a little bit ago about items that have been sitting on your shelf for 6 months and are not getting much activity. Could go back to what the item is when you sourced it. You may have picked it up and said, "Oh, this looks pretty good. Oh, look, there's hundreds or thousands of them listed on eBay," but we didn't look at how many have sold. So you may be sitting on an item that, sure, everybody picks it up and puts it out on eBay because they think it's cool, and it does. The sell. In fact, I looked at one today. I don't remember the brand of the shirt I was looking at, but it was a nice looking shirt, and I wasn't familiar with the brand, so I did a sell through check. And there was 6,300 of them listed and only 530 of them sold. Oh, and whenever you're looking on your mobile app, that's usually about a 90-day track that eBay gives you on there. So did I pick that shirt up because I wanted to be like everybody else and list it? No, I did not. Now, and I also found one or two, I don't know if I found them today or the last time, but find some that maybe there's like 550 listed and 2 or 3 of them have sold. And if you find the bolos, you might find 200 have been listed and 500 sold. So they're not even, they can't even keep them listed on eBay fast enough because they sell out that fast. So those are your golden ticket items that you're looking for with sell through. It really comes through when you've got stuff sitting around that's old, or brands that are not an old item, but brands or an item that are not in demand. Then you can see by the sell-through rate that, okay, that was a bad pickup. I should have left that one on the store shelf instead of putting it on my shelf. Or you need to get creative to find a way to blow it out, whether it's a price situation, a sale, a coupon, if you happen to have a watcher on it, send them an offer, whatever it takes to blow it out and get it out of your inventory. So sell-through rates, average sale prices, things like that. We'll get into deeper as we continue. But if anybody's got any questions, please throw those out there. Get a hold of Chris or I on either through our groups or our YouTube channels, and we'll note them and try to answer those questions as we plug along. So, all right, what time is it out there, Chris? 3 o'clock.
Yep, 7 minutes till.
Coolio. Chris is out in sunny Southern California. He's a sunny California guy. I'm sitting here in Indiana. We've had our first cold snap the last couple days. We've had snow flurries over town, just a little ways from us. They had actual big snowflakes coming down for a while last night. So, I'm sitting here in my Star Wars jacket, and the heater's on behind me, and so we're going to warm back up into the 70s over the weekend. However, I am going to be in sunny Florida starting the trip tomorrow, so I will be out of state for 3 or 4 days. We'll be back on supposed to be back on Monday, so we should be okay for the show here on Tuesday. But I'm hoping to do a little bit of sourcing while I'm down there. Try to find a couple of thrift stores, non-brand thrift stores. Probably hit Goodwill here or there, or Salvation Army. We see one if we've got time to go. But we're just going down to finish up some stuff on my dad's stuff that's down there, and I'm going to take in a show on Saturday night. So I'll have some video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel JB Net Treasures on YouTube, and I'll have some sourcing videos and see if I'm hoping to find Chris maybe some nautical stuff, some fishing stuff, some what was the other thing I was saying, beach type fun stuff. It's not the season for that kind of stuff necessarily, but if it's out there and down there, I don't find that kind of stuff here. So maybe even some golf clubs. Whoa, that would be. Mm-hmm. We've got to rent a big U-Haul trailer to pull some appliances and bring them back. So if I got the U-Haul, I can get some golf clubs in there. We can find some golf clubs down south. So we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to hear your stories from your adventures in Florida.
Yeah, see if we can do something fun while we're down there.
Oh, you might want to try to find a storage auction.
No.
You got the moving truck.
Yeah, I know, but I just I'm really kind of getting away from doing the storage auctions. Honestly, it's just, if the right one pops up at the right time, I would look at it. But no, I think I'll just stick with some of the thrift stores down there. Maybe there'll be some garage sales or something too, since we're going to be down there through most of the weekend. Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll catch an estate sale. Who knows?
Oh yeah, use that website that I sent you, garagesalefinder.com.
Yep.
Whatever zip code you're in Florida, punch that zip code in there, and it'll tell you the estate sales and stuff that are in your immediate area.
Yeah, and so that's a bigger area that we're going to be in, not little old Indiana country towns like I'm here. We're going to be next to the city of Jacksonville. So those will pop up a whole lot better there than they do here. Hardly anybody uses it here. Mm-hmm. Every weekend I look at it, and there's maybe one or two out in the little bit bigger areas from where I live. So we depend on the Facebook group garage sites to tell us where the garage sales are at, and that's pretty well done for this year. It's all about in estate sales, inside sales from here on out for me as far as sourcing goes. So.
Yeah, I'm a little bit luckier on California because that stuff is year round.
Yeah. Yep. Any of our followers or watchers that are from the colder states, they all get it. Mm-hmm. It's a depressing time of year when the garage sales start shutting down.
All right, so that's pretty much it. That's all we got for you today.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, we'll be back here next Tuesday, and hopefully I'll be back from my trip by then, and we'll see what's happening. So thanks, Chris, for hustling home and getting us up and running, and we'll catch you on the backside.
All right, bye everybody.
All right, take care.